Good morning, folks. I know it's been a long time. I apologize for the delays with the videos. We've been on commercial industrial work where unfortunately we just can't film in facilities because of privacy stuff and whatever. So today we are on our way to a job. It's October 25th, by the way. This is going to be in the middle of the woods at a private club. We're going to be doing a flake floor. First I'm going to get hooked up. I'll show you how that goes, and we'll get up to the job site and get started. Nice new tire. I'll show you what happened the last time we went to a job. Jeff's all hooked up. I'm all hooked up. We're gonna get ready to roll here momentarily. Okay, so we just pulled into our spot in the woods here. This is a beautiful location to work, folks, let me tell you. So I'll show you our setup that we're gonna have here. I have to disconnect the trailer. Jeff's parked around the corner here. I'll show you what we have and show you our job. All right, so Jeff is just staging over there with the trailer. We're gonna get the trailer out here, the generator, I'm sorry. So here's a trailer parked here. Look at the view here, folks. This is just a beautiful job site. I wish we had this every day, but we don't. It's okay, I'll take what we got. All right, so here's our job. This is what we're doing inside here. These were samples that I had left them before, and we're going to be going with this floor, which is going to be a medium gray floor with a 427 flake. So this is what we have. There's not much to see. It's all bare concrete. We do have a joint up the middle here. This to me looks like a plastic zip strip buried in the concrete. So that joint goes right up the middle, and then we have two joints that go across right here. So today what we're gonna do is fill the joints, grind the entire floor, get a prime coat down, and then tomorrow we'll be back to do the intermediate coat and use the flakes. One thing I did want to mention with this floor, it's October 25th, temperatures are starting to drop. It's getting a little cooler here. I want to say it's in the low 50s maybe today, something like that. But instinctively, owners like to turn on the heat when you're going to be doing an epoxy flooring system for them. And the thing you have to be real careful of when you're putting an epoxy coating down is heat rises, vapors rise. So if you turn on the heat in a building right before you do an epoxy floor, you heat up the floor. When you heat the floor, the vapors in the floor rise, and you can actually create bubbles in the coating. So it's very important you don't turn the heat on, just so you don't get those bubbles, at least in the prime coat. Once your prime coat is down and it's set, you can put your following coat on the next day and turn the heat up. It won't have any effect on it at all. But that prime coat's important because you don't want the vapors creating the bubbles. So anyway, I'm gonna video this. We're gonna get all the equipment in, we'll get set up, and we'll go from there. All right, so I'm gonna drop this trailer, so we always need to make sure we chalk our wheels, because the last thing you want is this trailer rolling away on you. I can't imagine how devastating that would be. Fortunately, I've never done that, but I don't want to be involved in that either. Jeff's getting the generator set up right outside there. I always like to lock these feet. I'm going to drop the feet down. There's calling for storms this week, and God forbid something happens and it falls off this front jack, or if a kid plays underneath here. I never like to take chances, so I'm just going to drop these feet just in case it moves. And then I'll drop it just so they touch. That's it. That way if something drops, at least it's not going anywhere. Okay folks, we're going to talk about joints. Joints are always an issue on any job. Concrete moves, concrete cracks. It is what it is. I don't care who you are, there's no way you're ever going to stop it. So I'm going to show you the joints here, show you our plan with the joints, and we're going to hope for the best. That's all you can do. Okay, I know I showed this joint before, but what they have in here, at least locally, they're called zip strips. There's a little plastic strip buried in the concrete right under the surface, and it's designed so when the concrete shrinks, it cracks in a, well, I'm going to say fairly straight line. It's still very jagged, but it's a straight jagged line. So here's the problem. Concrete's going to move. What we need to do is we're going to run epoxy in this crack. We're going to fill this back up, grind over it so it's smooth, and if it shrinks and moves again, it's going to crack in a straight line. It would do that whether you saw cut it and fill it with polyurea. It's going to do the same thing no matter what you do, and it's out of anybody's control. So that's what we're going to do with this one. We're just going to fill it with epoxy and grind over it so it's a nice smooth floor, and hope for the best. It's also important that you mention to your customers, if you're doing this for a customer, that you can't control movement in concrete. So what you don't want to happen is you don't want the floor to shrink and the joint to open and crack the floor, and then have a customer call and say, hey, this concrete cracked. Well, it's out of your control. There's nothing you do about it. All you do is try your best to prevent it, and it is what it is. So that's what we're going to do today. I'll set the camera up here so you can watch us fill the joints, technically they're joints, fill the joints, and then we're going to get ready to grind. Okay, I told you what we're going to do with these joints here. So I have a ketchup bottle, and granted, I got to tell you, this ketchup bottle is way bigger than you should really have. I'm only going to mark at the bottom about an inch of each material. It's imperative that you get it 1-to-1 ratio, so you want to try to be as accurate as possible with lines. If you can get them where they have graduations on here, it's nice because then you can mark the pre-measured lines. So this is the 343. Again, I tell everybody, like, we use this on every single job. This material is just great to have with you. Fast set, and you don't have to wait for it. So I always like to pour the part B in first. Right up to the line. Okay. Now I got to tell you, this material is probably like 50 some degrees, so it's not going to set as fast as normal, but when it's like 70, 75, you have about a minute to get rid of this. So all I'm going to do is run down these joints here. And this is going to run right in here. I know it's going to run right in. I'm going to have to come over here a couple times to do this. And of course, I'm using my RACATAC cart because this is like the best tool in the world. So that was it. So that was 2 inches of material. I did, what is that, 40 feet of crack. Now granted, I'm going to have to go over again. Okay, so this is very hard to show on camera. I don't know, I'm trying to get the camera in the right position there so you can see the light, but this is 4 passes, and there you can see it. The crack is full. Now, I keep saying crack, it's actually a joint. Technically it's a joint. They're almost all full. I have to go over 1 or 2 more times. But that was 4 passes, and I used about, I'm gonna say, a gallon of material so far. So this is, what are we gonna say? About 150 feet that we did 4 passes on, and I used about a gallon. So for those of you who always ask, how much material do I need? Every crack is different, every joint is different, but that's a gauge to at least help you a little bit. So you can see how this stuff wicks in also. It fills in all those tiny little cracks there next to it. So it's kind of strengthening up the noses of the joints. And there's this weird little patch here, which I poured that on, and you see there's a weird crack there. I don't know what that is, but I figured I'd fill that right away too. Okay, so now we filled all these joints. This is definitely not pretty, but we filled these joints. Now we're gonna grind the entire floor to get that scratch that we need before we put down the 707 LVP. So I'll put this on time lapse so you can watch us grind this. So first thing I'm gonna do is edge around the perimeter, and for that I'm gonna use the Hilti DG 150 grinder. Jeff is gonna keep moving the hose ahead of me as I go so I don't have to stop, and he just keeps moving the cord along as I go. So now that we edged everything, we're ready with the big grinder. All right, so now I'm done edging, and you see how aggressive of a scratch we got there. And this is pretty unusual because there's actually some wood, plywood here, whatever. We have to coat it. You can't not coat it or it's gonna look horrible. So I ground right over it with the diamond wheel. I went right up onto the wood, and this is a polyurea joint filler in there. So that's what I did around the whole perimeter. So now Jeff's getting ready with the large grinder. Right there, we're gonna grind out the rest of this, and then we're gonna put down the primer. All right, so Jeff starts grinding there. We changed the diamonds. We're trying to get a feel for what we need there. This concrete goes from real soft to extremely hard at the end. So you see how fast we were going, and all of a sudden you're going to see this thing just start slowing down more and more and more. We have the softest metal bond diamonds available. So we changed the diamonds out again, and it's getting even slower, but it's kind of part of the process. We only have a pass or 2 here, and then Jeff's going to go over the joints again, because those joints, they weren't very level. There was a dip on each joint, so we're trying to feather those out so there's not big dips in the floor. Okay, finally we are done grinding. I will, at this point I'm going to be voicing over what we did in the time lapse. This was very difficult to grind, very time consuming. But now you can see we ground the whole floor. This is all ready to go. And these joints that we filled, I mean, you can see where they were because there's epoxy in them, but they're full and smooth. So this whole floor is smooth. So now we're going to get ready to install the CFS 707 LVP prime coat. I'll put this on time lapse so you can watch. All right, so now we're all set up, we're all cleaned up. We're just getting ready to install the primer. So I'll show you our mixing station we have set up outside here. So I just have a sheet of plywood down here. Here's the CFS 707 LVP. We have 9 gallons of that for our primer, which is going to be more than enough for this, I think. Although I do have to say this concrete is very porous, but very hard. It's a very odd concrete for sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow morning when we come in, this primer is real patchy looking, which is fine. I'll explain that tomorrow when we get there. All right, so now I'm going to mix this material. So I take the lid off. The 1 gallon is in the top of the bucket, so I open up the gallon, take the liner out there, and then I pour the single gallon into the bucket and I'm talking even though I'm doing voiceover. So when I mix this, I'm going in a swirl pattern around the perimeter at slow speed to make sure I get everything mixed well. Go up and down, get the bottom really good. It should take about 2 minutes. You want to make sure it's nice and even and uniform in color. And then you're done. Okay, sorry about the background noise walking on spikes here, but I always tell people how important primer is. And I just put this primer down. I had this calculated out, and I do this every day. I had this calculated out that we should hit this joint with 3 gallons of material. We're a little bit short, but it's okay. We have 3 buckets, 3 slabs, and I'm gonna deduct that area out of it. So it's gonna be close, but I'm gonna have enough. I just squeegeed this out, and I don't know if you can see it. There's dry patches. It's soaked in. This is not curing, it's not hardening, it's soaked in. So this is why you use primer. It actually soaked into the concrete, and it looks like it's dry, but it penetrated in there and it's sealing the surface. So now when you put your next coat on here, you are bonded to that material which penetrated into the concrete. Here's a good area here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually like dry to the touch. So that's why we always use a primer. If we didn't use a primer here, the material wouldn't penetrate in, it would just be laying on top and will most likely debond in the future. All right, everybody always asks how we clean the tools, what tools you have to clean, that type of thing. You have to clean your squeegee after every time you use it because the epoxy is going to set on it and it's going to be useless. The roller covers are disposable. You can't clean a roller cover. It's not worth it. So you throw the roller cover out, you throw your brush out, you throw your 6-inch roller cover out. The squeegee you have to clean. So I simply use acetone, put some on a paper towel. I'll wipe the blade once. I get the heavy stuff off, I throw that out. And I'll do it one more time. Acetone. And as long as the tip of your blade is flexible, that's what you want. So this is still flexible. This is fine for future use. And these will wear down. Once they wear down, you replace the squeegee. So that's how you clean a squeegee. All right, so as predicted, Jeff is still back rolling in here, but you can see behind him, the primer just penetrated in, it just virtually disappeared, which is fine. That's what the primer is supposed to do. So we're just gonna back roll this out. It's not gonna look pretty. It's not supposed to look pretty. But tomorrow when we come back, at least we're gonna have a sealed surface and our next coat is gonna bond to this primer, which is penetrated into the concrete. Okay, Jeff just got done back rolling. You can see what we have here. It's kind of patchy out there. What we had, I think I explained this before, we had slabs that were actually different hardness. So one was real soft and porous, one was real hard, kind of hodgepodge of things there. So we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do the intermediate coat. Okay, folks, we are back, day number 2. So this is the prime coat, and just like I said, it was probably going to do, it soaked in significantly, and it's all patchy. Again, that's fine. So we're getting ready to do the intermediate coat with the flake. So we have our roller, that's our 18-inch Epoxy Glide roller. We have our S550 squeegee. That's a 24-inch squeegee. We have a 6-inch roller. We have our spiked shoes. We have the flake. We're getting ready to throw this into a bucket. So what we're going to do, we're going to put that in the bucket, and then of course I'll walk around and throw the flakes in the floor when we do it. There's Jeff. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
And we're all set. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a disaster on film here. Sometimes it takes a little coaxing to do this without dumping it all over the place.
Yeah, do a little slowly.
So this floor is like 1,700 square feet. We have 90 pounds of flake, which I know is way more than what we're going to need. But at the time, we didn't know for sure the flake coverage we were going to use. So I'm prepared for heavy flake, but they're requesting medium flake. And I have the sample right behind me. I'll show you. That is the sample that they want. So I'm assuming this is what we're doing over the whole floor. Okay, I apologize. It's going to echo a little bit, and I'm walking on spikes. But yeah, you can see how this totally penetrated in here. The good thing is there were craze cracks in here. See those little cracks? The primer penetrated in there, and it binds everything together again, so you have a good solid surface. Now, we had a nor'easter come through here last night, so I just wanted to make sure no water snuck in here. Of course, we have a couple bugs. This is why we always have these 5-in-1s. You can scrape these bugs off. There's a bug. There's another bug over here. I'm gonna launch that outside. There's a bug right there. Oh, it's still alive. Yummy. Okay, flung that one outside. Okay. There's another little creature over. Oh, I hate these things. These are just the worst. Good Lord. Okay. Well, I can live in the wall forever. Okay, so that's that. Now, when we were doing this slab over here was really, really hard concrete. This one here seemed really soft, and that's why this soaked in more than over here. And then at the end here, it's pretty much the same, a little soft. I also had two bugs make their way in here, which I don't know what happened to that one. That one really self-destructed. And there's another one. Hopefully there's no bug right activists watching here. I apologize. I can't do that more humanely, but they're bugs. All right, we're gonna get this set up. We'll put on time lapse, and you can watch us install the intermediate coat. Okay, again, we're going with the medium gray epoxy here. So this is going to be the 707. I'm going to mix this up. Now, when you set this up to do your floors, I don't know if this is in the camera shot or not, but I have the flake right here in a bucket. You want to try to set everything right outside the door so you don't have to walk out to go get it once you start applying the epoxy. So the flake is right in reach. Just makes it easy to not make a mess as you do this. All right, so take the lid off of the 1 gallon part B. I pull the liner out from part A. I'm going to pour part B into part A, and then I'm going to start to mix it. You want to make sure you get those edges really good. I know I always say that. You'll see me go around in a circular motion to make sure you get all the edges good. Otherwise, when you turn your bucket upside down, if you leave it sit there, you get some unmixed material that comes out that can mess up your floor, which you surely don't want. So get the edges really good. Should take about 2 minutes, and then you're done. Okay, I had a phone call in between there from a customer. So now I'm going to show this live, just pouring this out, just so you see exactly timing-wise how to do this. All right, a lot of people ask me about squeegeeing, how to know you're putting it down at the right volume, whatever. So we have 4 buckets of material for this floor. We used 3 buckets yesterday for the prime coat, which was 9 gallons. We have 12 gallons for the intermediate coat. So I poured my material out. So you can see this is about 12 inches wide, goes down to 8 inches wide. These are the ribbons I have poured. I'm going to attempt to do this while I hold this. I called this the squeegee can last time. We'll see what happens here. But I'm just going to show you how I get this thing started. So basically, I'm just pushing this puddle around. It was interesting getting out of a corner. Once you get moving on the rest of the floor, it goes pretty quick. Now you're going to edge this with the 6-inch roller, so this doesn't have to be like perfect, but I like to try to get the puddle. See, I was just rolling off the edge of the squeegee there. I like to leave that puddle right up against the edge. This is very difficult to focus on the squeegee and the camera at the same time, by the way. Now I'm going to pick up the squeegee a little bit and leave the puddle there, and then just leave a little puddle that I push in the corner. Once you have a big puddle in the corner, it's hard to get out. I don't know what this is going to look like when I watch it later. It could be a jittery mess. I apologize. I try to show everybody as much detail as I possibly can. Okay, and then we got the perimeter. You see I have that angled. I really don't have any pressure down on the squeegee. It's pretty much just the weight of the squeegee itself. And my bad, I need to shorten this up. It's hard to make a turn when you have it too long. Left a little puddle over here. Well, I will say trying to video and squeegee at the same time makes it much slower. All right, I'm going to put this thing back up on the camera stand here, and you can watch me in time lapse do the rest. Okay, I wanted to get the camera back out here. So I always tell people when you're doing a larger area, you need to separate it into sections so you know you're going to have enough material. We have 12 gallons of material. So a quarter, we're actually probably 2 or 3 feet short here on this first batch. So what we have to watch is that our yield gets a little bit better as we come back. Our second batch, right where Jeff is where we stopped there with the first batch. We should be another 3 feet. So the next batch I'm going to pull forward. I'm hoping to get to the left edge of this window. And then we have 2 more kits, and that should be enough. So try to lay out sections mentally so you know where you have to get with each kit to make it to the end. I'm going to put this back on time lapse again. Okay, what I wanted to show you now is that second batch that I just mixed up needed to line up with this window, and that's exactly where we are. So now I know 2 buckets, which is 6 gallons, made it halfway. the other half is the same thing. So as long as I maintain that same pace, I'll make the end. And I'm making this decision before I throw flakes. All right, I hope I'm in frame here. So now we have 9 gallons of material poured out. Jeff is back rolling actually the 3rd bucket that we mixed up, so we only have 1 more to go. At this point, I'm going to go back to the first area that we did, and I'm going to start flaking. So we're actually 2 sections ahead of where I'm flaking. You just need to make sure you have your epoxy squeegeed out far enough so once you throw flake on it, you don't need to go back out and get more epoxy because you can't get it once there's flake on it. So I'm going to put this on time lapse. I'll start flaking in the background. Okay, I figured I'd walk out here while Jeff's back rolling. So he's back rolling right now. You can see how thick that material is. So this is based on a 10 mil coat. Each coat we put down is based on 10 mil thickness. Now granted, that prime coat, a lot of it penetrates in. That's a little bit thinner material. I'll walk out here, I'll show you the flake. Now we're halfway. You can see where we're at here. But you don't want to flake right up to where he's rolling or you're going to see a line. So I stopped like 4 feet short. So this is the area out here flaked. We wanted like a medium flake, so you still see the medium gray epoxy behind the flake. But this is what we have so far. So once Jeff back rolls that whole thing, I'll continue flaking. And as far as volume of flake, I use so far about, I'm going to say 15 to 20 pounds of flake for this whole area here, which is about 850 square feet. And I'm probably going to end up using about 15 pounds for this area over here when Jeff is done. Okay, I just got done throwing the flake out there. Again, they wanted a medium coverage flake. That's what we got. Here's the original sample that they had that they wanted to try to get close to. So I think we have accomplished that. So of course it's starting to rain tomorrow. This is a beautiful area. It would be much nicer if it was sunny. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. We will vacuum off the excess flake and apply the clear coat. One thing I wanted to show you, we just wrapped up for the day here. I'm going to show you how much flake I used for this floor, because people always ask me, how much flake do you need? And for some reason, everybody thinks you need a lot more than you really do. So I'll show you what we did. Okay, that's like 1,750 square feet. You see the coverage we got. Here's our box that we have. It's about half full. This was a 40-pound box. By the way, this is the FB 427. So we only used about 20 pounds for 1,700 square feet for that coverage. Morning, folks. Day number 3, we're back. The weather's much more beautiful than yesterday. Yesterday was pretty rough here. It's a little windy though, but you can tell behind me it's a lot nicer. So we're gonna walk in, I'll show you the floor, we'll get set up to do the first clear coat. All right, I have the trailer opened up here. Let's see what we have. So this is what we did yesterday. Oh, I see there's a bug. Of course there's a bug. I don't see any footprints. That's always a good thing. Somehow people always seem to wander onto a job site when they shouldn't and go walking through epoxy before it's cured. I am wiping my feet really good before I walk out here. So I'll just walk around really quick, show you what we have, there's a bug. I don't know how that bug gets to there from, well, anywhere, unless they like fall from the sky. I don't know. So this is what we have. So I'm going to come in with the vacuum this morning. I'm just going to clean up the excess flake because we have flake on the windowsills and that type of thing. We're going to just dress this up to make it look pretty. And then we're going to put down our clear coat. Well, our first clear coat. That's going to be the CFS 137 MUV. And then tomorrow we're going to put a urethane top coat on top of that. Not very exciting, but part of the job. Okay, so now we're getting ready to put on the first clear coat, which is a 100% solids epoxy. We have our 18-inch Epoxy Glide roller, our 6-inch edge roller, spiked shoes. Jeff has his spiked shoes on, he's ready. Our material, we are using the CFS 137 MUV. So I have 4 buckets of that staged out here. I'm gonna mix, I have a paddle mixer on my drill. Gonna mix that and start applying. All right, I mixed up the CFS 137 MUV. I'm gonna pour it out. Jeff's gonna video while I pour this out, just so you see what I normally do. I try to stay about a foot off the wall, and I'll just run right across. I'll leave like a 4 foot, 5 foot wide gap, and I'll just pour the remainder out here. So that's it, I'll squeegee this out. And this material, you can tell it's like an amber off-white color. If it was crystal clear, you couldn't see this stuff at all, which we're gonna deal with tomorrow. But when you squeegee this out and it gets thin, you don't see any color at all. And somehow I noticed there's a bug behind us. I just vacuumed this 10 minutes ago. Somehow a bug, I swear they fall from the sky. This thing doesn't even have wings. And yet here it is. I hate bugs, especially these. Sorry. Okay, I figured I'd take you for a walk. So you see the high gloss there, and there's the line. You can see the line right in the middle of the frame there. Now this is not back rolled yet. I just squeegeed that, but you can see the high gloss that we're going to get off this floor. And again, it's not back rolled at all. Jeff is doing the edges with the 6-inch roller. And that was 3 gallons I just put down over about 600 square feet. So that is 200 square feet per gallon approximately on this top coat. Now I don't want to put this down too thick here. If I do, it's going to be real smooth and could be slippery. So I'm trying to keep it so there's a little bit of texture. And if you look in the light, you can see the texture there. Okay, so we just got done with the CFS 137 MUV. That's the clear epoxy top coat. That's what we have there. I got to close this door real quick. I don't want any leaves to blow in here. So we'll be back tomorrow to do the polyurethane top coat. It is day number 4, final day. We're doing our clear urethane top coat. That is the CFS 321. This is a 2-component urethane. You can tell it's a very calm day. Look how pretty this is behind me. It is flat calm out here. Look at that view. Beautiful day. Let's go take a look at the inside here, see what we have. Hopefully there's not too many bugs. Guess we'll find out. There we go. This is what we left yesterday. Still looks the same, no footprints, that's good. Somehow people always tend to wander into your job sites. So we'll get set up here shortly and I'll do the clear coat. Okay, so we are going to be mixing up the CFS 321 high performance urethane. This is a 2-to-1 mix. So in the box, there's a part A there, there's a part A there, and a part B in the middle. We're gonna mix all three of those together in a 5-gallon bucket. We're gonna dump it into the tub, and we're going to do what they call dip and roll. So we're gonna dip our 18-inch rollers into that blue tub and then roll it out on the floor. It's very important when you're doing clear on clear that you try to use 2 rollers if you can and roll perpendicular to each other to make sure you overlap as much as possible so you don't miss anything. So we have the 6-inch edge roller for the edges, the 2 18s. Also, this material does smell. It's a urethane, so we're gonna be wearing our respirators for this one. So we're gonna mix this stuff up and you can watch us put it down. All right, I always use my lid as a drip tray. And I'm gonna pour all this material into a 5-gallon bucket. So I did the 2 gallons of part A, this is the 1 gallon of part B. Now this is a thin material, so I'm going to mix this on slow speed, otherwise it's going to like spray out on you, which obviously you don't want. All right, I'm going to shoot this real time just so you can kind of see how we get started here. So I mixed up the 3 gallons of the urethane and poured it into the dipping tray here. So it's very important also that you dip and pull out the same way and leave the handle on the other side. Otherwise, every time you go to pick this up, you're gonna have sticky crap all over the handle. It just makes a mess. So we're always gonna dip in this direction and roll out. So I'm gonna roll one way, Jeff's gonna roll the other way, and we're gonna work our way across. I'll put this on time lapse in a minute. I just wanted you to see how we start. So we start in that corner and work our way across. So I'll just apply, and you can back it. Okay, folks, we're all wrapped up. I'm just going to show you what we have here, the final results. I can't walk in there, obviously, it's still wet. So let me show you what we have. Okay, this is the floor. You can see the reflection. This is a highly reflective floor. So I'm going to tell them to wait 3 days before they walk on this, and we're done. Okay, as always, thank you for tuning in. If you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. We did get a new grinder, so hopefully coming up shortly, we'll get another video with the new grinder in there. We're pretty excited about that. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.